So Thanksgiving is happening soon. And I always thought that America was the only country, some people do a Y, I did that for county, for country, that celebrates. And remember, we clap and we hold like we're like, yay, like we're holding streamers or something. Celebrate Thanksgiving holiday. But there are other countries that have adopted, taken up. This also means adoption of a child, or I'm taking a class. You're taking up. I'm adopting it. It's down here, and I'm grabbing it to take with me. So that's to adopt or to take up. I'm taking a class. Oh, what classes are you taking? Oh, we went to the courthouse to watch an adoption ceremony. So anyway, so that's adopted Thanksgiving, and they celebrate at the same time that we do here in America. So I thought that was interesting. And the first one on the list is Canada, which I was really kind of surprised, but they celebrate Thanksgiving as well, and they started doing that in 1957. Anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. And the second one on the list is Liberia. I don't know the sign for that country, Liberia, but I know that it's in Africa. Africa. We used to do, now I remember when I first started, we did Africa. And then someone said, well, that's really kind of, maybe it's derogatory. So we started doing the shape of the continent, Africa. And then Africans say, no, that's how we use Africa. We'd prefer you do that. We go, oh, okay, Africa. So anyway, so if you do Africa or Africa, it's not going to be wrong. But if you're with a deaf person and they change it or they correct you, you do it what they say because it's their language. Remember that it's their language. We should not be taking over. Okay, taking it up. I could say taking it over and controlling it, but I didn't want to get too heavy on that one. But you could say that, like if I'm going to take over something, and it's really a strong, then you take over because you're controlling it. If you're just going to take up and adopt that tradition, I'm going to adopt that tradition. Okay, the next one is Grenada. So Grenada is also, they have a lot of political turmoil, but anyway, it's a new celebration. And it's because of all this political turmoil that they decided to start that. They said they'd killed their prime minister, and that started in 1983. That was from a U.S. military invasion, and so that's why they do that. Okay, cool, because it's always good to be thankful for the things that we have. So the next one, and I think it's because they had come, the American troops had kind of come there in 1983 to help out, and during Thanksgiving they were there, so that country decided to adopt that tradition of Thanksgiving because they were really grateful for the American military to go there and help save them, you could say, or protect them, or to help them to get control of their own country again. You could say that in a lot of different ways. That's why I really like the language, because you can, as long as you're conceptually correct, there's several different ways to say things. Europe. Now let's see, we're in Europe. Which is kind of, and it's not like English people. It's people that are from America and have moved to Europe for whatever reason, like for a job or family, or decided to live there or whatever. So it's expats that, they all get together and have a Thanksgiving dinner. So the people that are from America and have moved, they celebrate Thanksgiving, and so they invite, their friends and whatever. And so there's some areas that have adopted that tradition as well. Um, there's one, like they said, the areas are like in Austria, Germany, and Switzerland. And they said there was one community celebrates. I can't even say it. Um, it's Ernst Dankfest, which I don't know German, so I have no idea. So anyway, it takes place. They celebrate a Thanksgiving. In Spain, and the friends and the family that they miss, and so they go, oh, I really love those U.S. traditions like Thanksgiving, so they all get together and have Thanksgiving. So they first, started out like, oh, I made a turkey or whatever, but so it's the people that are from America that have moved that really like that tradition of, getting together with friends and family. It used to be, family, and now people, they invite their friends because their family is far or whatever, and they can't, fly there or drive there. So it's a tradition. Ghana, and they have other, cultural festivals, but they have their own version of Thanksgiving around the same time. Um, so And I noticed, I was going to say, I could just hear someone going, but you said time, not time, because it's not exact time. But if it's because it happens on that third Thursday of November 28th this year, that's kind of a specific time that we celebrate Thanksgiving, and Christmas is always on December 25th, so it's a time. You can use that interchangeably. I see deaf people do that all the time. So especially if they don't really use era, I don't want to force that on there. They may just use time, and oh, okay. So sometimes you can break the rules just like we do in English. Anyway, so the people in Ghana, they have a festival because when they were crossing Africa in the 16th century, they had a lot of problems, and they had famine. This is fasting or famine, no food. You're closing your mouth, zipping your mouth, fasting or famine. Or you could say no food or not enough food. It's the same concept, right? So you could, if you don't know the sign, just know the concept. And so, so when the first, harvest, the first crops that they had, they go, oh, yay, we have food finally, because they were escaping. And so, anyway, so they celebrate as well a Thanksgiving, a version of it. It's not an Americanized, but it is a Thanksgiving. So then in Japan, remember this is the islands. Some people still want to do Japan or Japan. Is the island, and they have a first harvest. Remember, this is to gather in. When we said money, that's salary. But if we're just gathering it in, it's a harvest. It's a gathering in for rice, and we can do rice this way, or we can spell it. It's a short word. So, and it's prior to the American Thanksgiving celebration, but they've always done that for a really long time. They said 2,000 years they've been doing that. Wow. And their national holiday is on November 23rd. So it's around the same time, but they have a specific day. So that's a time, right? China. And that's like their clothes, where you have a button here and a button here and then a button here. So China. And they have a really old Thanksgiving, and it goes back to the 15th. No, let's see. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it was 500 years before Japan. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Okay, of the 15th century. Anyway, so they do it in the middle of the fall season fall, the middle of. You could do the middle of, I see most if people use this for middle. So middle. So anyway, it's so they do that the same thing. It's a first harvest, and then Vietnam, or I've seen Vietnam. If you don't know, spell it, right? Um, and they have their first harvest celebration also in the fall. Um, in South Korea, they have theirs also as their first harvest, and it lasts for like 3 days. Um, and I can say we could probably say that we do that too. We have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that's 4 days, really. So if people want to travel, and then they set up their Christmas decorations. So anyway, so I think that's all of it. So that helped me to know that there's other people, it's their first harvest, and that's why America, they were starving. And they said that 80% of that of the women that first year died. So mostly the people that were at the first Thanksgiving celebration were mostly men and children. And of course, the Native American group that helped them to learn how to plant and what to grow, and how to do that properly so they can have, food to, you know, um, to eat, and how to hunt, and hunt or hunt, really. They had guns, but they also had bows and arrows. The Native Americans did. So they taught them how to do all those things so they could feed themselves, so they wouldn't starve. But sickness or other things caused deaths that they weren't accustomed to here in America. It was an experiment, and so when they had the first crops, and they were so excited and they were happy, and they finally had some food, and so grateful for the Native Americans, for their friends. So they invited their friends, invited their family to come. And someone said, I was reading an article that said that it was probably the Native Americans that brought the meat, and they probably brought venison. So venison is deer, right? It's deer. So they brought the first meat, even though there was turkey, and they wanted they killed a deer to make sure that there was enough food for everyone. And plus they used the hide and everything within the animals for different things. So they probably killed that, and could have enough food, meat. And then they didn't have like potatoes yet. They didn't have many things that we have today that we eat at Thanksgiving. They probably had a lot of seafood, because they were right there next to the coast, and so they probably had some fish. They said they ate eel, but they had clams, and they had lobster. So they had a lot of those different, and mussels. So they had a lot of different types of food that were in abundance, and so they just gathered it all up. Whatever they had, that was a whole bunch. They probably had some cabbage and just different things. Whatever they had, they all just gathered it up and cooked it, and then they all sat down and had this wonderful feast. That everyone, brought something. So I think that's really a good tradition, that everyone, brings something, the way that we do it today. So anyway, I hope you enjoy finding out these new countries that celebrate Thanksgiving as well, or their first harvest. And you can have something to tell your friends and discuss with it, deaf and hearing. And so practice, and have a good day, and I will see you later. Bye.